Welcome back, YouTube. Today I'm gonna show you how to make key lime pie. It's like a whole ass mess. Okay, ready? Welcome back to Baking Outside the Lines. If you've been enjoying our videos, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, leave a comment, let us know what kind of videos you'd like to see, what you want us to make. Today, we are going to make key lime pie. It's gonna be a little untraditional. It's gonna be my spin. I'm gonna make my gluten-free pie dough, fill it with a key lime custard, and top it with a gorgeous, cloudy Italian meringue. First things first, we're gonna work on our pie dough so that can chill, and then we're gonna talk all about these guys, key limes. Let's get started. For our dough, we're gonna want a stand mixer and a paddle attachment. This is gonna help us cut in our butter. The way that we get nice flaky pie dough, whether we're making conventional pie dough or gluten-free pie dough, is creating leaves or sort of flakes of the butter. It's why we have cold hands. My hands are freezing cold. I'm like a natural pastry person. And we're basically making little sheeted layers in there. So I'm going to add all of my dry things first. Those dry things are gonna go into the mixing bowl. I'm gonna get my cold butter in there, cut it in with the paddle attachment, and then I'm gonna add all my liquids after that. At that time, I'm gonna let it chill and hydrate, and then we'll move into the custard. Flour, sugar, salt, xanthan gum. Just gonna turn this on to let my mixer help me stir these dry ingredients up. This is half a pound of cubed butter that I've chilled down in the freezer. The friction of the paddle is gonna help sheet that butter into that flour without melting the butter down, without getting it too hot. That's why it's really important that our butter is nice and chilled. It started in pretty substantially sized chunks, about the size of hazelnuts. Let this keep going until these are all broken down and maybe about the size of, say, large peas or maybe a little bit smaller. All right. So you can sort of see these pieces of butter are starting to break down. They're relatively softening. I mean, they're pretty frozen before, but they're softening. At this moment is actually an appropriate time to add the liquid. The way we get flakiness and loft in our pie dough is when the water content of this butter hits the heat of the oven, that water turns to steam and it makes little expansion pockets of like dough inside of the dough. And that's where the flakiness comes from. That's where the crispiness of pie dough comes from. Even though this is a gluten-free dough, we can still achieve that by using those techniques, using the water content to our advantage. We can start adding our liquid at this point. A little bit of water, cold water, some sour cream, and some vinegar. I'll actually mix all these things together. When it starts to come together, it is a little like sandy, but just watch, it's gonna start to come together. The thing about flour, if the ambient humidity of the environment that the flour that you're baking within is very humid, the flour will be very humid. It's pretty dry in New York in the wintertime. This is kind of coming together with the amount of water I've listed in the recipe. When I grab a chunk of this or a handful of this dough and I squeeze it, it actually does hold together, but I can see it's still like on the dry side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add little bits of water and then we're gonna see how it goes. Start on low and then move up. So I can see it's starting to come together. You can see that there are some like dustier bits over here and some stickier bits over here. It actually feels like clay-like dough. It's nice and cold. I'm gonna pull this all into a ball. wrap it up and let it hydrate for at least 30 minutes. And all that means is actually just let all the water that's in here really soak into that dough, soak into that binder, the xanthan gum, and let it do its job for us. Now we can work on our key lime filling. We're gonna mix some sweetened condensed milk, some egg yolks, the zest of 4 key limes, and half a cup of fresh pressed key lime juice. Blitz it, and then we're gonna let it thicken before we strain it to bake it inside of that pie dough. Sweetened condensed milk. This is the zest of 4 key limes. These eggs are room temperature. So we're gonna try to juice these key limes. It needs salt. No, it goes the other way. All baked goods need salt. Salt! That can go on the top. Okay, it's really nice and incorporated. Can you see inside of there, camera guy? I'm gonna taste it. I think it needs salt, to be honest. There you go. The citrus flavor is nice and bright. There's a lovely florally element to it. I'm gonna let it sit and thicken while I roll out my pie dough and then get everything together for my Italian meringue. So our dough has been hydrating for a good 30 minutes. We're just gonna unwrap it. We're just gonna roll this up. I'm just gonna use the weight of my rolling pin. I'm gonna turn this in. So I'm actually just working from the center, moving toward the edges, using motions that are like the shape that I want to end up in. Turn this over. You get a little tss. I'm going for about 1/8 of an inch thick. Yes, girl. I'm going to invert it into my pie dish, make a little edge, and then chill it before I kind of pre-bake it and fill it with the custard and then finish baking it. I'm gonna dock it first, then I'm gonna pop it in the freezer, give it a little egg wash just so it's nice and pretty, and then I'm gonna bake it off. To egg wash this, we're literally gonna take an egg, maybe just a little bit of water, just to break this up a bit. You can also do this with a little bit of cream or milk. It just gives your pie dough that extra glossy sheen. It seals your dough. While our pie dough is in the oven baking off, I'm gonna set a timer. So I'm gonna set it for 10 minutes. What we're gonna do is make Italian meringue. 4 egg whites. So we're just gonna start this on low. A little bit of acid is gonna help stabilize those proteins so I get a nice sturdy foam for my Italian meringue. It's literally just a little. I'm gonna carefully pour the sugar into the bottom. See, it's starting to get foamy on top, but if you scooch the foam to the side, you can see it's nice and still liquidy underneath. You want to keep going. It can seem like there's a lot happening with all this steam rising out, but that's just all the water that needs to be driving off. This is staying pretty steady around 217. Our foam is coming up on the soft peak stage. It's not quite there yet. We need to keep going with both. The temperature we're going with for our sugar syrup is through the thread stage, which is about 225 to 235. We're gonna go up to 240 degrees to the soft ball stage. This is a good place to stop and just slow our mixer down. Ooh, is she pretty? I got to a soft peak. This looks really beautiful. I'm just gonna give it a nice little swizzle. This looks lush. This will thicken as it cools down. My pie dough is looking beautiful. I'm gonna take our custard, which we have let sit and thicken. I'm just gonna fill this pie dough, pop it back in the oven so that my pie dough or my custard can set. How I'll know it's set is the outer sort of like 1.5 inches will be set, and then the inside will be like jiggly. You can choose to leave the key lime zest inside of here, but I'm gonna strain it. Here. We're starting it, looks like this. I'm gonna pop it in. It should take, honestly, maybe like 15, 20 minutes for this custard to set. We saw the jiggle when it came out. It's had a little moment to cool. We're gonna pop our meringue on there, torch it up, and that's gonna be our key lime pie. Dude, I'm like key lime-tastic today with my like key lime piping bag and everything. Designs may vary. Yes. Oh, it smells marshmallowy. So this is it. This is my key lime pie. It's gluten-free, fresh squeezed key limes. If you like this recipe and you want to see more recipes like this, click the subscribe button below. Leave a comment. Tell me what you made. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me what you want to see. Oh my God. It's so good.